Okay, this review covers your final standard all at once. You have two packets, one's story problems, one's not. We'll do this. Actually, we'll do the non-story problems first. So the first thing I need to do is solve these equations. And it says 4x to the second minus 3 equals 6x to the second plus 15. There's two answers. It's right there for you. So I need to decide what kind of equation this is. Single power, multi-power, square root, exponent, or q. Now, the x is to the second, and that's the only one I have, so it's a single power. Okay, so a single power is we want to box the x's up and know that we can get them on the same side. Okay, so I pick one of the x's, I'll pick the 6, so minus 6x to the second. And from the 4x to the second. So it's negative 2x to the second minus 3 equals 15. Then I box up the solo x to the second, get that by itself. So plus 3, negative 2x to the second equals 18. Divide by negative 2. And x to the second power equals negative 9. Now I need to do the second. I need to square root both sides, and that cancels. And then that's going to be positive or negative, but we can't square root a negative without bringing the I out. Okay, and now I can square root 9. The square root of 9 is 3, but it's 3i. So my answers are 3i and 3i negative. Okay, my next problem, x to the second, that'd be a 1x to the second, minus 11x plus 30. Okay, so I see we've got x to the second and x to the first, so that is a multi-power. So multi-power, that means draw the factoring boxes. The zero's right here for you, and there's 3 terms. So I do my GCF and my T-chart. I'm going to want to know what A equals. Okay, GCF, negative in front, no. You don't have X on everything, not on the 30. And if you go 1, 11, 30, it's just going to give you a GCF of 1. Okay, so you can cross that out. Whenever 1's one of the numbers, you're not going to have it. So I take 1 times positive 30, that's positive 30. So it's a sum that needs to equal out to 11. That is not 11. 2 and 15. That is not 11. That is not 11. 4 is a decimal. And then 5 and 6, that is 11. Now the 11's minus, so you know the 6 has to be minus, the bigger number. And the sum means that they're the same. Okay, now A equals 1 here. So that means I just need 2 parentheses. Okay, and x minus 5, there was no GCF that I need to bring down, so x minus 5 equals 0. And I'm going to circle those. Those aren't dopses either. X minus 6 equals 0. So I add 5 to both sides, and that's 5 for my first answer. Add 6 to both sides, that's 6 for the second. 5 and 6. Okay, number 3, 4 times the square root of x minus 4 minus 3 equals 17. Now, I don't really have any powers here, okay, but there's a square root, so it's a square root equation. So I need to make sure the numbers outside the square root get out of there. So I have a minus 3 and a times by 4. So first we deal with the minus 3, so plus 3, so I have 4 square root x minus 4 equals 20, and then I need to deal with this 4 by dividing. So the square root of x minus 4 is equal to 5. Now to get rid of a square root, you do the second power. So this side cancels, and I have x minus 4, and then 5 to the second power is 25. And I plus 4 to both sides, and that's 29. Okay, my next problem. 6 times parentheses x minus 4, and then to the second power equals 24. Okay. So what kind of equation is this? Okay, you got a power but it's a parentheses, okay? So that's going to be a Q, okay? All right, so we're going to replace that with Q, and we're going to do this chart knowing that there's two equations, and that's where I'm going to put my x minus 4. Now I got to find out what that equals. So I have 6 to the second equals 24. Divided by 6, and that is 4, so q to the second power equals 4. And then I find the square root of the number 4. Remember, that could be positive or negative, and the square root of 4 is 2. So x plus minus 4 could equal 2, or it could equal negative 2. So I plus 4, and that's 6. Plus 4, negative 2 plus 4 is 2. Okay, next problem. There's 5 answers, okay, because of the x to the 5th. So I've got x to the 5th, I've got x to the 3rd, and I've got x. So that's a multi-power. Okay, so we need our boxes. There's 3 terms, so GCF and the T-chart. Okay, GCF, a negative in front? Nope. Do you have x on everything? Yeah, so you put x, and then 1, 5, and 45 is not going to be anything, but you still have the x. So I put the x out there and circle it. Then I divide everything here by x. So I get 1, and then the x goes to the 4th, minus 5. The x goes to the 2nd, and then minus 9, and then the x's go bye-bye there. Okay, A, B, C are 1, 5, and 9, and we take 1 times... Okay, I screwed this up. Instead of a 5... Oh, no, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. That is 45. No, so I want to switch that 5 to a 4, okay? So erase that 5 and put 4. Okay, so I take 1 times negative 45. That's negative 45, so I'm looking for a difference to equal 4. Nope. 2's a decimal. 3 and 15. Nope. 4 is a decimal, and then 5 and 9. Okay, 9 minus 5 is 4. Now that 4 is minus, so 9's minus and difference, so that's going to be plus. Okay, now A equals 1, so I just need 2 parentheses, but it's an x to the 4th power, so I need to put x to the 2nd and x to the 2nd, and then the plus 5 and the minus 9. Now with these second powers, they might be dots. Well, that one's not, so we'll circle it. But that one is, because you got minus and you've got 3 times 3 and x times x. Okay, so I make 2 parentheses, and that goes plus minus. That's going to be x, 3 and 3. Now the second powers aren't there, so those can be circled. So I have all my factors. I've got x, that could equal 0, so 0 is the first answer. X to the second power plus 5, that could equal 0. So I'm going to need to subtract 5 and then square root. Then you square root. That could be positive or negative. And we got to make that I because I can't square root a negative. So now I go find the square root of 5. And 2.23, and it's 2.23i. And negative 2.23i. Okay, then I've got x plus 3. That could equal 0, so I'm minus 3, and that's going to be negative 3. And then x minus 3 could equal 0. So I plus 3, and that's 3. Remember to do the square root if it's still to the second power, though. And those are my 5 answers. You are not done until you have all your answers. Okay, number 6, there's 2 answers. So what's going on with the x? Well, I've got x to the second, not in a parentheses, and I've got x to the first. So that's a multi-powered equation. So I'm going to want to set up my boxes. Now there's 3. So GCF and T. GCF, negative in front, nope. You got X on everything, nope. And 116 and 50 is going to give you a 1, so don't do it. It means no if it's 1. Okay, so I take 1 times 50, and that's 50 positive, sum of 16. That's 51. 50 divided by 2 is 25, that is not 16. 50 divided by 3 is a decimal, 50 divided by 4 is a decimal, 50 divided by 5 is 10, and that's 15, so I went over the 16. Okay, so I need to use my quadratic formula. So the opposite of the b would be 16, plus or minus the square root, parentheses, I'm going to make a double parentheses there to the second, okay, and then negative 16 and minus 3. Remember, I put a double at the start, so b is negative 16. Then I have 4, a is 1, c is 50, and then I have 2 times the a, which is 1. Okay, so before the plus minus, I have 16, and on the bottom, I know that 2 times 1 is 2. Now I'm going to figure out this square root. Okay, so I go second, x squared to get my square root up, double the parentheses, and I've got negative 16, close it, second power, minus parentheses 4, parentheses 1, parentheses 50, I got 7.48. Okay, so I take 16 plus 7, 16 plus 7.48 equals, and then divide by 2, and that's 11.74. Then I take 16 minus 7.48 equals, divided by 2, and that's 4.26. So there's my 2 answers. Okay, next problem, there's 1 answer. So I've just got x. Well, that's the only kind of x I have, x of first. So again, that's a single power. Okay, so again, with single powers, we want to box up our x's, get them on the same side. So it's negative 1x plus 4 equals 8. Box up my singular x, minus 4, so negative 1x equals 4, and then I divide by negative 1, and I get negative 4. Now the second power is not there, so I don't need to find the square root of it. Okay, my next problem. There's 1 answer, and here's an x. So I'm going to put a little teeny x, and that means the x is the exponent on your sheet of paper. So with exponents, you want to circle the power and split it. And I know that the x power is equal to the x is equal to log over log, and I know 5's on the bottom. Now, I don't know what's on top because I have this multiplication by 4. Remember to divide by 4, not subtract. And that's 5. Okay. So I'm going to take log 5 divided by log 5. That's kind of weird. I got 1. Okay, so x is equal to 1. Okay, number 9. There's 3 answers. So what do I have for x? Well, I have an x to the third, not in parentheses, x to the second, and x. So that's a multi-power. So let's see some boxes. How many terms? This time there are 4. Okay. So I need my grouping and my dots. Now set up the parentheses. Parentheses plus parentheses. Put lines out in front of them, and the dots is 2 parentheses with a plus minus. So I've got 1x to the third minus 7x to the second, and then negative 9x plus 63. Okay, now you don't have a negative in the beginning here. You have it there, so you need negatives here. You have x on both terms and x to the second, but you don't have x on both of them here. 1 and 7 is just a GCF of 1. And if I need my GCF calculator, I'm going to go to 9 and 63. Okay. So 9 comma 63, and that tells me I should be dividing by 9. So negative 9. Okay, so x seconds out, negative 9's out. And that's going to be 1x minus 7 and 1x minus 7. So I pull out the 1x minus 7 and circle that, because that's not a dots, and then I have x to the second power and minus 9. Now that's a dot, so we don't circle that yet. That's going to be x, 3 and 3. And those aren't dots, so now you can circle them. Okay, so my first circle is 1x minus 7. That's my first factor. Plus 7, that's 7. Don't need to divide by 1. X plus 3. And that's negative 3. X minus 3 is 0, and that's positive 3. Okay, next problem. 3 answers, and I have x to the third, x to the second, and x to the first. Now, that's a multi-powered equation, but I can't draw my boxes because it says this will not factor. So I need to use my synthetic division. So I have 1, negative 12, positive 35, and negative 24. So I'm going to find my first answer just through trial and error. So I'm going to plug in 1 for all my x's. So 1x to the third. So 1 parentheses 1 to the third power minus 12 parentheses 1 to the second plus 35 parentheses 1 minus 24. Okay, I got 0, so that's good. 1's my first answer, and that's also my divisor. So I drop the 1 down. 1 times 1 is 1. Then I add. That's negative 11. Times 1 is negative 11. Then I add again. That's 24. And 24 times 1 is 24, and that's going to be 0. So now the 1 is now x to the second minus 11x plus 24 equals 0. Now I can do my GCF-T. GCF, negative in front, nope. Do I have x on everything? Nope. And 1, if 1's one of the numbers, forget it. So I take 1 times 24, and that's positive 24, sum of 11. Nope. Nope. 3 and 8, yep. So 11's minus, so we got minus 8 and minus 3. So a is equal to 1, so I just need 2 parentheses, and it's x to the second, so I can just go x minus 3 minus 8. Now that's not a dots, and that's not a dots, so x minus 3 could equal 0, or x minus 8 could equal 0. So I have 3 and 8. 1, 3, and 8. Okay, next problem. Now, there's one answer, and I pretty much threw a bone here. There's no second power, so you just use the rainbow. So it's going to be 10x. 10 times 4 is 40 equals 20. And then it's a single power, and that's your solo x. So don't overthink that one. If I got the rainbows drawn, that means do it. You just don't do it on the ones with a second power. 60 divided by 10 is 6. Okay, next one. 10x to the second minus 40x is 0. So there's 2 answers. So I have x to the second, and I have x to the first, so that's multi-power. So the zeros here, and now we do our factoring boxes. There's 2 terms, so GCF and DOPS, if there is a DOPS. Okay, GCF, negative in front, nope. X on both, yep. And then I have to find the GCF of 10 and 40. If you want to use your calculator, go for it. Okay, so 10 is the GCF. 10x. So we want to circle 10x. Okay, so it's going to give you 1 with x minus 4 with no x. So if the x isn't to the second power, it's not adopts. If it was, it would be. So I can circle that. So 10x can equal 0, or 1x minus 4 can equal 0. So I divide by 10, I get 0. And I get 4. Okay, now that's the equations, okay? You have a sheet that kind of guides you through that. Now, I want to do the one on the back of this first, okay? And we need to find the sine, cosine, and tangent of theta. So that's 3 ratios. So my h is 14. Here's my theta. My o is 9. And I don't know the a. So if there's only one side I don't know, I use the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus o squared equals h squared. So a is, I don't know that, so that's x to the second. And o, 9 to the second. And then h is 14 to the second. So I have x to the second. 9 to the second power is 81. 14 to the second is 196. So I need to minus these because they're on opposite sides. And x to the second equals 105, but we need to square root both sides. So I find the square root, don't need to do the I because it's positive. 10.2425, and that's what the A is. Okay, so look up on the board. Sines the O over the H, that's on the board. 9 over 14. Cosines the A over the H, so 10.25 over 14. And tangents the O over the A, so 9, 10.25. Okay, now flip this back over. And we're going to find the 3 angle measurements and the 3 sides of that triangle. So here are my sides. So this is h. So I know h is equal to 12. Now I don't have the theta sign, so I use 34 degrees and put that over there. That's your O. We don't know how long that is, and that's the A. So I don't have 2 answers, so that means we use proportions. And I want to put 34 degrees in parentheses on the first ratio in each proportion on top. Okay, so I don't know O and I don't know A. Keep those separate. We do know H. Okay, so O and H, you look up there, that would be the sine, and we put a 1 under it, and that's O on top, H on bottom. So O I don't have the answer for, and H I have an answer of 12. So the x is diagonal from 1, so I circle the opposite diagonal, and I write sine, parentheses, 34 dot 12 divided by 1. .71, and that is your O. Okay, now the A and H up there would be the cosine of 34 degrees. And that's A over H. So A I don't know, so that's X. H I know is 12. So X is diagonal from 1, and I multiply here, so cos 34 dot 12 divided by 1. Times 12. That's 9.95, okay, or 10 if you want to put that. Okay, the angle's really easy. I got a 90 degree. I have the 34 degrees, and I take 180 minus 90 minus 34. Okay, that's going to be 56 degrees. Okay, so equations, triangles, and now the story problems. I have $2,500 in my checking account. I spend about $300 per month from this account. I usually put more money into the account when it gets down to $500. How many months will it be before I need to put more money in my checking account? I forgot to put it. There's a negative on that $300 because you're spending money. I should have put the negative. Okay, so there's 2 units, the dollars and months. So we want to take this route. Okay, so the X is the time and the money is the Y. per dollars per month. Okay, dollars per month is negative 300. That's your slope. That's your rate of change. So it's a straight line, x comma y plus mx y. So my m is negative 300, and the initial amount is given to me. I had 2,500. Okay, so the equation is 2,500 plus negative 300x equals y. And $500 needs to go into that equation, and that's going to go in for the y variable. So I just get rid of the y, put 500. Now we need to get the x by itself. So I minus 2,500. That's going to give me negative 300 times x, and that's going to 500 minus 2,500 is negative 2,000. And then I divide by negative 300. It's going to be a decimal. That's okay. I got 6.6 repeating, so we're going to say it's 7 months. Okay, number 2. A company makes calendars from personal photos. You pay a beginning delivery fee for each order plus a cost for each calendar. The cost of 2 calendars plus delivery is $43. The cost of 4 calendars plus delivery is $81. Find the total cost of 15 calendars, and that total cost has to include your delivery fee. So again, 2 units that I have underlined for you. You have calendars and money. So the money's y, and then whatever I'm buying is the x. Dollars per calendar. They don't tell me that, okay? I don't know how much one calendar would cost. So I use my y minus y, x minus x, okay? And remember, y is the money, so the money's got to be on top. So I have 43 and 81. And then for the calendars, I have 2 and 4. Okay, so that's going to be negative 38 over negative 2, and that divides to positive 19. So I have a rate of change, so I make a line. That's the initial amount plus mx y. And I know my m is 19. Okay, now to find the initial amount, I'm going to have to use the y equals m times x plus b formula with a combo. And the combo has to appear in the same sentence. So 2 calendars was $43. That'll work. So 2 calendars, $43. Okay, so this, and this are going in for these 3 letters. And the m I know is 19. Now the y is dollars, so I want to put 43 in for that, and I need to times the 19 by 2. So I have 43 equals 38 plus b. Now put the 1 in front of the b, and we need to minus 38. And 43 minus 38 is 5 equals 1b, so it's 5. So now my equation is 19 plus 5x equals y. And I need to put those 15 calendars in for the appropriate variable. In this case, it'd be x. So the x, just parenthesize it and put 15 in. And the y is already by itself, so we can just plug that into the calculator. So 19 plus 5 parentheses 15, and I got 94. Okay. Oh, wait a second. No, I wrote that wrong. Sorry, I wrote that wrong. I'm going too fast. 5 plus 19x equals y. Okay, we're still going to put 15 in for the x. And now I go like that. 5 plus 19 parentheses 15. That's 290, okay? All right, so $290 goes here. Sorry about that. Again, 5 plus 19x equals y. Okay, number 3. In one day, a movie theater collected $4,600 from 800 people. The price of admission is $7 for an adult and $5 for a child. How many adults, how many children were admitted to the movie theater that day? Okay, 3 units. I want to make my map. And total, how many, single, I'm going to put dollar signs above those two. And then I've got the adults and the children. So let's look at these first 4. What's the cost for an adult? $7. Cross it out. Cost for a child's $5. Okay, how many adults I have? I have no idea. How many children do I have? No idea. 800 people, that's all it tells me. And the total cost is $4,600. Now that leaves me with 800, and that's not a money amount, so it goes up here, and that's going to be our total. And that's X, and that's Y. So I've got 7X and 5Y. So I've got X plus Y equals 800, and then 7X plus 5Y equals 4,600. Now these are 1, so we'll times these all by 7 and these all by 1. Okay, 1x times 7 is 7x, 1y times 7 is 7y, and 800 times 7 is 5,600. And then 7x plus 5y equals 4,600. Now we need to make the bottoms all negative so that the x's can cancel. And then I go 7 plus negative 5, that's 2y. And 5,600 plus negative 4,600 is 100. So I divide by 2, and y is 50. Now the y is under the children, so it's 50 children. Or wait a second, no, that was 1,000, okay? 1,000 divided by 2 then is 500, so it's 500 children. Okay, now write 1x plus 1y equals 800. So the 500 goes in for y. Just scribble it out. And that's 500 plus the 1x equals 800. So I minus 500 minus 500, 1x equals 300. Okay, number 4. An adult pass for a fair costs $2 more than a children's pass. When 378 adults and 214 children's passes were sold, the total revenue was $2,384. Find the cost of each pass. Again, 3 units. We're going to want to make our table. Total, how many, and single, money single, and money total. So I've got the adults and the children. So what do we know here? Cost of a single. Just because it costs $2 more, that means you really don't know how much they cost. How many? 378 adults, cross it out, and 214 children. Total cost is $2,384. Okay, that leaves me with 2 more. So 2 more, we're not going to use y. We're going to put both of these as x's, and I'm going to put plus 2 with the one that's more, which is adults. Okay, so I need to put a 1 here so I can multiply. So 378 times 1x is 378x. And 378 times 2 is 756. And then here we'll just have 214x. Okay, so the x's can be added. They're both x's. So 378x plus 214x is 592x plus 756 equals 2384. Subtract 756. 592x, that's 1,628. And then I divide by 592. And that is going to be equal to 2.75. Now, if you don't know where that should go, this is your solo x. It is your children. so the children are $2.75. And then to find that, I don't need to plug it in. I know the other one's just 2 more, so I just plus 2, and that's $4.75. Okay, number 5, you deposit $5,500 in an account that pays 3% interest each year. How many years will it take the account to reach $1,000? So we're back to 2 units, so the dollars in the years. So it's X, and that's Y. Dollars per year, I just know it's 3%. Interest should be adding. So with the percent, we're going to make a curve. My initial amount, but then I don't add to it, I times, and it's m to the x power. Okay, so to find my m, it's really easy. I just take 100% and add the 3% to it, and that's 103%. So that would be 1.03, and the initial amount is 5,500. So my equation, pretty easy, 5,500 times 1.03 to the x power equals y. And we're going to put $10,000, unfortunately, in for the y. Okay, so I'm solving for an x, and x is the power. So let's circle the power and split it, and I know that the x equals the log over log formula. The 1.03 goes on bottom, and to find the top, you need to divide by 5,500. Okay, so 10,000 divided by 5,500 is 1.82, or 81. We'll just put 81. So log 1.81 close divided by log 1.03 close, and I got 20. So the years are equal to 20. Okay, next problem. A store sells 50 of a new model of DVD player over a period of time for $140 each. For each $10 decrease in price, 5 more DVD players will be sold for that period of time. For how many price changes can the store maximize their revenue, and what will that maximum revenue be? So we're finding the maximum, and the formula for the X is the opposite of B divided by 2 times A. Now we're talking about revenue here, not gravity. Revenue is dollars times items, and each factor gets a parentheses, and this becomes Y. Now go circle where you have money. 140 and $10 decrease. So it's going to be 140 minus 10, but I don't know how many 10s I'm subtracting, so we put an X there. Okay, and while that's happening, the items I sell are 50 and 5 more, so 50 plus 5. And if I don't know how many 10s I'm subtracting, I don't know how many 5s I'm adding because they are together. And this, now, I don't have an A because there's no x squared, so I go blank x squared plus blank x plus blank, and I'm going to multiply that out using my Papa Math calculator. So here's my Papa Math. So I have parentheses 140 minus 10x, close it. And then you don't need to hit times, just another parentheses. 50 plus 5x, and close that. Okay, so I got negative 50x squared, 200x, and 7,000. Okay, now I'm good to go. Opposite of B would be, that's 50. Negative 200, and then 2 times negative 50, that's negative 100. And then I divide a negative by a negative, that should always be the case, and that's 2. Then I plug the 2 in for the x's, and that's my maximum revenue. So I have negative 50x, so parentheses 2 to the second, plus 200, parentheses 2, plus 7,000. Got 7,200, so the maximum money is $7,200. Okay, number 7, a missile's launched from a 100-foot platform with a velocity of 600 feet per second. After how many seconds will it hit its ground target? So we're back to our 2 units, so feet and seconds. So per feet per second. And that is going to be 600. That's a parabola, so I just need to know how to write an equation for it. Gravity, negative 16x squared, then look up here, 600x, and then plus 100. Now it lands on the ground, so it's y, but y quickly turns into 0 feet. Okay, now that we have x to the second, and there's an x to the first with it, so it's multi-powered, so there's 3 terms, so GCF and T. Okay, GCF, we do have a negative in front. We don't have x on everything. And then I go back to my GCF calculator and enter in 16, comma 600, comma 100. Okay, I got 4, so negative 4. But not negative 4x, so don't circle it because it doesn't have x. Okay, that's positive 4 with x to the second. It's going to be negative 150 with x, and that's going to be negative 25. 4 times 20, negative 25, negative 100, difference of 150. Well, right away you know that can't work because 1 in 100 is already too low. It's a difference of 99. So quadratic formula, the opposite of b, 150. Double the parentheses and square that one. Minus 3 parentheses in a row. So b, negative 150. 4. And a is also 4. And c is negative 25. Then on bottom you have 2 times 4. So I have 150. 2 times 4 is 8, and then I'm going to plug that in. So second, hit your x second to get your square root up there. Double the parentheses and negative 150. Close it. Second power it. Minus parentheses 4, parentheses 4, parentheses negative 25. 151. Okay, so I take 150 plus 151, enter, divide by 8, and that's 37.6. And 150 minus 151, negative 1, divided by 8, it's negative 0.125, so the positive answer is legit. Okay.